Hey, we're live. Welcome to
Live.
Season 6, Episode 12. And these are the days of our hobby lives.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
How's it going?
It's going good.
yeah.
How are your guys' weeks been so far?
Mine's been busy. We're farming,
Yeah.
full-time farming now again. I
Yeah.
started planting corn today, so put some new technology on the planter. So it was a kind of a trying to get that all to work right. But yeah. So we're going, and
So
so just kind of a starting day today, and then it's going to get where you got to get going hardcore.
So if you erected a huge symbol of corn in your cornfield, like, how many people do you think would get it?
Well,
I think it'd be pretty few.
in my
Especially
area,
in Harlan, Iowa.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You might get like one person driving by and be like, "Oh my God, you get that?"
What would be best if you did it, the entire field was one big corn symbol.
Yeah, exactly.
Well-
That's right. You can see it from the sky.
Yeah, so when
Yeah.
they're flying from 30,000 feet, if you look out the side window, you can see the emblem of corn. All hail corn.
Well, I'd do it if they paid me for it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what it comes down to.
you
You're
have-
like, I don't-
Yeah.
You got one crop, so you got the corn here, then you got maybe something else, like say oats or something like that.
Soybeans or something, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a different color. So
Yeah.
yeah,
it would show
that
up.
might be more justified. Otherwise, Dan would be like, okay, so I just got to do the calculation. How much is it going to cost me?
Well, I've got a bunch of acres to go, so I could still do that yet.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Got lots of people in the
that's
house.
been busy.
Got lots of
yeah.
people in the house.
I gotta get to the
Oh yeah,
corn.
we got a whole bunch.
Barnesmell,
of
Clark, Barnesmell,
Oh, there
Clark,
they are.
and Chris. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. Welcome
We got
aboard.
Chris. Yeah, we got a whole passel of people. So, who wants to start with how their week went or last 2 weeks?
I'm fine to go today. Maybe first. I'll try that.
Let her rip.
Yeah. So painting, not so much. And that's why I'm kind of really glad to be painting tonight on the show. But I have been gaming a bit. I've been playing some Warhammer Fantasy Battles. And so that's been good. I love the Warhammer Fantasy Battles. And so just great to be playing that. And
Using your Beastman? Is that what you're playing, your Beastman?
that's pretty much it. I mean, like, I guess I could probably do a little bit of Orcs and Goblins if I really wanted to, but I haven't really attempted to do that recently. Just mainly still playing my Beastman. I still have lots that I can do with my Beastman before I exhaust that. And I also, like, when I play during the week, like occasionally I'll play during the week after work. And in order to do that successfully time-wise, because I actually don't even really get out of work early. We only play 1,000 points, and so we'll play 1,000-point games, which is really a nice. It's a nice size like game to play, even though it's half the size of a typical standard game.
Right.
It's still actually a nice size game to play. It still feels like Warhammer Fantasy Battles and stuff,
Yeah.
and you still have units clashing with units and stuff. But but then. If it's a weekend game, then it can be definitely more. And so, and then this weekend, it looks like I'm probably playing a game of Mordheim. Actually,
No way.
yeah.
Wow.
And so that's kind of cool. So I'm going to pull. Guess what? I'm going to pull out to play Mordheim.
Beastman.
Beastmen, not these Beastmen,
Wow.
but my Mordheim Beastmen band, which are different models.
I remember when you. Yeah.
I have a Witch Hunter warband too that I could paint up and play something different than Beastmen at one point. But to be honest, I've only played a little bit of Mordheim, not too much, and so I'm still keen to play the Beastmen.
Did you ever play it back in the day, or you just played it recent?
Nope. Only recent, yeah.
Yep.
And
So you have a lead singer, bass player, lead guitarist, drummer for your Beastman band?
I wish I did. It would be kind of like having the goth rockers,
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
So because I just called them a band, not a war band, I guess.
Yeah.
And so so that's kind of it for that.
What's your opponent gonna have for Warband?
That's a good question. I think it's actually going to be Dark Elves, if I remember correct. I know that he has an undead warband as well, and so I think it's going to be Dark Elves though.
So they play death metal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So has he played before, or is this going to be?
I think he played the original game, like when it was out. As I understand it. I guess my Beastman would be more like primal music. Maybe like what is the name of your guys, Hulu or something? What is the name of the band?
The Who.
The Who? Yeah, there you
H-U,
go.
Who.
Yeah, I think that's what they'd be.
They would do a lot of throat singing.
Exactly. It'd be like the Bray Herd doing the throat singing.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Do you have a table you can fill with terrain? They always act like that's pretty.
I have
more time.
You know what I did is it's crazy because I have it. I should pull it out and show you guys maybe even tonight later. But I have all of this terrain that was made custom by a guy 3 hours north of me in Edmonton, and I was visiting my in-laws up there, and I was like getting into Mordheim, and I bought all this stuff off him next to nothing. He like made all like actual little blocks out of plaster with the Hearst art kits, and he gave this like amazing stuff. I mean, it's really good, and I got it for a really good price. And I even bought like Mordheim stuff off him too, like actual models like that he had. And
cool.
And because and basically I never really used it because the person that I was getting into it with at the time just played like 3 games and didn't want to play anymore. And that's the sad story that we've been talking about all the time, right? Like this is the story of our lives sometimes, but that's kind of what happened. And so I never really got. Maybe I feel like this is too much of a topic here, or like getting into a topic that we're not getting into. But all I would just say is, I feel like with Mordheim that it's one of these games where you have to just accept your fate and how it works, because you could put as many points as you want in characters in the beginning and have like your grunts and have like your main characters. It's such a deadly game that a lot of times like the characters you put the most points in are going to die like in the first game. And you have to just allow your other characters to come up through the campaign. You have to just let it go, and you have to go with it. Like with the story, if you get too caught up in things dying and stuff, and really worrying about that too much, then you're not going to ever really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then like you're going to see characters you never intended to become good, right? And like raise up and elevate in the campaign.
Yeah.
And so
just kind of enjoy the story as it develops. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to. And I know it's still a game, and I know that there's still tactics, and there's still that aspect. But I feel like my opponent, and I could be wrong, but I just feel like my opponent a little bit just didn't like the deadliness of the game and how it didn't go the way they felt it should have.
Right.
And then that was just just made it so they couldn't really see the long game in it and play the campaign and stuff.
How deadly did they want the game, or not to be deadly?
I think they just wanted to. I don't know. I just think they just felt that sometimes when things are just not in your control as much, like things happen and it's just really random. It's a dice game, and it's just a guy that's like much weaker than you just is able to kill your main character, and or one of your main guys, and you just lose your inspiration for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys planning to?
Sorry,
are you planning to play a campaign then with this start of the Mordheim, or is this just kind of a one-off thing?
Well, that's the funny thing. This is with a different opponent, but I don't know. Like, I think we're just trying maybe initially to do a start game. We haven't really discussed it heavily. I suppose I'll find that out in the next day as to whether like, there's a long-term plan with it. Yeah. Like I'm hoping really just because I've had a busy week as we were kind of chatting and earlier, I'm hoping to just salvage one of my old lists for the Beastmen and just literally go with like one of the ones that I went with like a couple of years ago. So I don't have to, and because I never really got to fully realize even those games. So I'm hoping to do that, but I love those miniatures, those Mordheim miniatures that I did them a different, more of a fantastical, vibrant color style than my normal Beastmen army for 6th edition. I like the way I do these guys for my massive army, but those guys kind of have like white and blue hair, like, you know, on a brown, like kind of fur, like, and like, you know, like they have like cool, they just look a little bit more fantastical, like higher fantasy maybe or something. And I like the way I did those. So it'll be nice to just pull those guys out.
No, that's fun.
Yeah. So that's me. Like, you know, I'm still working away. I'm painting right today. I'm just painting the actual bases on my Dragon Ogres. They're pretty close to done. I did actually use them in a game, and they did pretty good. Like they're actually pretty tough. They're probably the toughest unit that I have so far as like offensively. They do cost a bit in points, but I would say, in my experience so far, I would say that my Dragon Ogre, like Minotaurs are tough with Beastmen, but I would say that Dragon Ogres really pack a heavier punch a little bit. Like they're pretty difficult to deal with, I think. They're a good unit. You know, if we're, you know, I don't play heavily competitively, but if you are like list building or whatever, like the Dragon Ogres are nothing to scoff at. And the fact that I love these miniatures so much and they're so sinister looking, the fact that the rules kind of back them up is nice because, like, actually the opposite is the Centaurs, the Drunken Centaurs. I'm going to paint those up and use them because that's the way. It doesn't matter to me, you know. But they're actually not. They don't seem to be quite as effective, you know, in the game. But yeah. And I'm drinking. I've already started. I broke the rules tonight, but I'm already starting to drink. I'm drinking a Moosehead tonight. That's my my musty drink. And so,
cool, good deal.
How about you guys?
If you filled up a Moosehead with actual beer, that'd be a lot of beer.
I thought you liked Moosehead.
I do. I love Moosehead. Good stuff.
Oh, if you filled an actual Moosehead up with beer, it'd be a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Now I know. Now I see what you mean. God.
Hey, he's catching on.
I thought you meant like if you filled up like a Moosehead beer with beer, it'd be a lot of beer. I thought you were insulting it, like it was just weak. That's what it sounded like.
He's catching on.
There is beer in my Moosehead. What do you mean?
That's okay.
Come on, eh?
That's good.
Hey, he's had a hard day at work.
Don't talk about my beer, eh?
Been a long week.
Hey, take off, eh?
Yeah.
Hey.
Exactly.
Oh, good grief.
Well, but you, Dad.
I actually working on my American War of Independence British, that first unit. I didn't have tons of time to paint this week, but I did get the first set of 8 out of my 24-man regiment. I painted them in groups of 8. And I got the first 8 done. They just need their bases done, but they're fully painted and kind of was the chance to experiment with the color scheme and the, you know, the techniques I wanted to use. And I think I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. So I'm started on my second set of 8 here now. I've painted on them maybe 1 or 2 nights, but so that's been kind of my miniature thing I've been working on. Got a birthday coming up, so I ordered a few miniatures from Brigade Games in their American War of Independence line. They're the ones that were sculpted by Paul Hicks.
Oh, nice.
They did them through Kickstarter, several Kickstarters. Okay. And I remember when I got the notifications of it, you know, the last several years, and I didn't do it, but I was aware of them, and I'd gotten a few. I think I mentioned I gotten a few from a guy, a YouTube channel. A guy had some that I won in a drawing thing, and so I got to see him up, you know, in person, and I really liked him, and I wanted a few more to add to what he had sent me, and so I ordered a few more, and yeah, they're really nice, and they blend. They're when he sculpted them, he made them so that they would scale well with the Perry miniatures, which is great. And actually, they work just fine with the Wargames Factory ones that I'm painting now too. Yeah, they work. Yeah. They're fine. I mean, they can be on. You could probably even have some in the same unit, but they for sure could be on the table at the same time. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was happy with that. So I've been having fun with that, and since I got in late, I am happy hour is now, and so I am having a Captain Morgan and Coke. So
he's joining us with a musty drink. All right.
Yeah,
the captain is in the house.
Captain, cheers. Yeah, usually my wife and I we have happy hour around 7:30 in the evening, but she was late tonight and I was late tonight, so it's happy hour is now.
There you go.
So yep. Otherwise, still having fun. Doing some painting and not gaming, but that's my normal.
Well, I'm kind of just working opposite right now, but I think that still counts. It's like basically one eventually makes you inspired to do the other, but at the same time, when you're just doing one more than the other, you're still a war gamer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and then I always figure at some point I will be having more time available, which actually, because of some things I'm changing with the farm stuff, I will have more time potentially this summer and for sure next year. So that if I can get stuff painted, then I can actually play. So I don't mind getting a bunch of stuff painted.
Yeah,
games will come.
Always nice when the dice can throw. So
yeah. So then Rusty and I can get together a few more times again, and especially with I'd like to do the Land of the Free, American Word of Independence games, or if we tried Sharp Practice, or some Muskets and Tomahawks. I've got all those rules sets, and my miniatures are all based to work with any of them. So anyway, that's me. What have you been up to, Rusty?
Well, as I sent a thing off to Palmer the other night, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good thing is I've been getting a lot of painting in. That's the good thing.
That's a good thing. That's always a good thing.
Doesn't require any standing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so
standing room only.
Here we go. Here's one tank.
Yeah, you put a video up for that.
Yeah.
I saw the thumbnail and I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it's like this is the thumbnail. Was this little
That's
guy
what I
here.
wondered. It looked like it.
Yeah, it's like I did the video and then all of a sudden it's like it automatically set up a thumbnail. It's like that's the one I want.
That turned out really nice.
Yeah, it did.
Well, the interesting thing is that one of my subscribers is the guy that designed this and put it up on Cults 3D.
Nice.
No way.
Yeah, he's like, he's seen the video of it, and he goes, "That wouldn't have to be this design, would it?" And he's like, "Yeah, it is." He's like, "That's mine." It's like, "Oh, cool."
No way.
Yeah, it's like one KV1 tank. So
yeah. So were you happy with the whole process?
Yeah, that's what came out really nice. This one did.
It's one of the few things you've actually, found the file, printed, and painted, right?
Yep.
Since you've had your printer. Yep.
So it was a nice little addition to the whole thing right there. And then I got this guy. Yeah. Yeah,
those things are ugly, but they are so cool.
Yeah. I figured if you need a 152 millimeters shell to impact and blow a big hole into a bolt action area, this is the guy for you.
Well, and with armor of 10, that thing is pretty tough to blow up too.
Yeah, it's like you got to have another heavy tank to.
Yeah, otherwise it's just going to bounce off.
Yeah.
Well, that looks great.
This one is the guards one. It's got the little guards emblem.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
Yeah, and so.
What'd you use for decals in the end?
They were the decals that came with my T-34 from Warlord Games.
Oh, nice. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so I was like digging through all my decals, and I was like, "Hey, I have some." It's like,
yeah.
And it's there. So I have these two guys finished up. Now one of the bad things that happened is my 3D printer died.
Oh well, no, get out! Really?
Yeah, I only had it a month and it's died.
I know you just got it.
Yeah, it's like the other night I was doing a print and I was trying to print off some BTR 40s and some white scout cars for bolt action. One's for my Americans, and they could be used either or, Americans or the Soviets, because obviously BTR 40 is the Soviet, but that was used in the Korean War by the North Koreans. So that's the reason I'm printing that one. And then the White Scout car was used by the Soviets and the Americans.
Right.
Because it was Lend-Lease. And it got through probably 3/4 of the print through. And then it gave up the ghost and no longer would print. The LCD screen gave up the ghost.
So what's the situation then?
I got a hold of Amazon and I was like, this quit working on me, and I bought it through Amazon. And they go, all right, your return policy is just like 5 days past the return date.
Always, yep.
And I was like, son of a sea biscuit. And they go, but here, get a hold of, we'll send you over through the Amazon web portal, and got a hold of Elegoo, who makes the thing.
Right.
And they said, if they do not make you whole or send you replacement parts, we'll take care of it and replace it for you.
Oh,
okay.
So that's a really good deal.
Yeah. So Elegoo got back with me and they said, send information, pictures and everything. And I did. And they said, okay, we'll just send you a new LCD screen.
So what happened with me, I really think getting through Amazon is very smart. And like what happened through me, if you remember, Rusty, is like yours was the LCD screen, but mine was the actual mechanism that make it raise and lower. So I got one, and right out of the box, it wasn't working properly. And they wanted me to go through the Elegoo portal, but I was within the return policy piece, and I'd never dealt with Elegoo before. And I was like, no way. I'm wrapping this up. I'm sending it back to you guys. You guys send me a new one. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't want to deal with something broken that's brand new. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Like, and so basically that's what they did. I had it. I mean, admittedly, the way it works is, you know, you're supposed to send it back, and once they receive it, you get your refund. I kind of was confident I'd get my refund, so I just bought it again. Like, you know, I bought it, and then they just basically refunded me within a week, and then I was good to go. And I've never had any problems with this one. But yeah, no, I think it's smart to go through Amazon in that case. Even if they are sending you to the Elegoo portal, at least they see that you're talking to Elegoo going through the Amazon portal, and then they're actually saying, if this doesn't work out, we're aware and we'll give you, we'll help you out, which is really good.
Yeah, because they don't like their customers being unhappy.
Right.
And they're a big corporation. They can sort of slightly eat stuff in some ways, but it was kind of nice that
some corporations wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
right.
There's amount of stuff that we've purchased through Amazon over the years. It's it's a good customer base.
Yeah.
So the only bad thing about that is it can take up to a month because it's coming from China.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So I'm not sure.
Well, you've got a lot of stuff printed.
Yeah, I got plenty of stuff here I got lots of BattleTech. I got 50 battle mechs sitting over here that I printed off that can be painted up. So I'm busy for a while.
Yeah.
So it's not like my productivity is going to go anywhere.
Right. And just be nice to get it finished up, settled. Yeah.
Yeah, back in action because I wanted those vehicles to be printed off and be able to add to my force because right now I'm sort of have that itch for some bolt action, getting stuff painted.
Well, there you go. I always have that itch.
Yeah. So that is one of those things that happened. So that's part of the bad. And then the ugly part of the week was I was getting out of my truck and the wind caught the door of the truck and it slammed the door on my leg and broke my patella.
Patella.
Yeah, AKA kneecap.
I haven't heard the word patella since like high school.
Yeah. It's like I had a doctor's appointment the next day, and it's like that whole night before I had an ice pack wrapped around my leg, and it was like throbbing and everything.
Oh gosh. That's
it was kind
of
of it was like nauseous because I broke my arm, this arm before, and so I'm sitting there going, "Oh God."
Yeah, you're like sweating and you're nauseous.
Yeah. So I went and seen it, and it's like, "Okay, you all right?" It's like, "No, I'm not okay. I had this happen." They go, "Oh, okay, we'll get an X-ray right away," and they did. And it's like, "Oh, you got a hairline fracture." So, but the worst thing is right where the tendon is attaches to your patella, your kneecap, and every time you, if I'm going downstairs or I'm trying to put any type of heavy load on my leg, it stretches that, and it's like stabbing pain through my leg.
Yeah, and you've got stairs in your house.
Yeah, so I'm downstairs right now. I've gotten pretty good of going up and downstairs now. It's like I just straight leg my leg like it's in a cast.
That's what I wondered.
And go up and down. So I go down pretty quickly now. I don't even think about it.
That's good. Hopefully you're on the mend.
Yeah. Well, they say it'll be about 3 weeks. It'll be should be halfway decent then.
Okay.
But the drink of choice tonight is Bushmills.
There you go.
Irish whiskey.
Oh, nice.
So, and I also am working on a few items here. If you've watched my video of anything, I'll tell you in a second. But it starts with a B.
No.
There we go. We're doing some BattleTech stuff.
Nice.
Got some Lyrian guards for BattleTech.
Oh, that's great.
So drink up.
Cheers. Yeah. Actually got some left.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I watched a little bit when I was painting on Sunday. I always like to put something on that, goes for an hour or two. Somebody put a long video up so I don't have to keep getting to a new video. And I was watching Scarnier was doing Dwayne was doing a BattleTech paint and chat.
Nice.
Yeah, he's always fun to listen to anyway. And so
tinks.
I'm all I tinks. And so we're I'm well BattleTech'd up now. For a game I've never played or seen played, I feel like I know quite a bit.
I can cure that problem for you.
I know you could, and we may address that at some point.
For some reason, I have a few battle mechs and vehicles around.
Yeah, that's what I'd hate to see your whole collection exposed.
I was thinking the other night, I was chatting with Brad and about the new Kickstarter that just finished up last Friday or Thursday. I think it was Thursday at midnight or whatever it was. And when those come in, that will put me in the household here. We'll probably have around 900 mechs and vehicles.
Wow.
That's a lot of years of collecting, though, which is pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I started collecting in the 80s, so it's not like...
you've got like 5 generations of miniatures.
And I think that the point is that it's no stopping anytime soon either.
No.
That's the thing that boggles my mind. I'm thinking, Stompy Robots, how many different things can you do with that? Because this arm has this weapon, and he's taller, and
there's so many different variants of the same mech,
Yeah, I guess it just seems crazy to me.
And that's what they're doing now is they keep adding new variants of it each mech. Like, oh, get the Warhammer. Which one? There's 10 of them.
Yeah, right. That's cool.
Well, we had some comments come in since last I went through. Let's get through these. Chris said, my kid is painting some Pegasus Knights next month for me to paint for pics.
Oh, cool. Pegasus Knights. That's all good stuff.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Very Bretonian.
Yeah. I think I played on that terrain in Edmonton a long, long time ago in a war game far, far away.
Who's saying that?
Chris.
Oh, like you think that you went on played on the terrain that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'll have to. Well, let's just wait. While you're going through the comments, let me just pull it out and just say I'm going to pull out the centerpiece, and you tell me whether you did.
Was it made with Hearst Arts Moods or art?
1 second.
It was Hearst. It said Hertz Ants Moods. I think he meant arts.
Arts molds. Yeah.
Molds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arts molds.
Autocorrect's always awesome.
Yeah. It always mixes us up.
Always knows exactly what we meant. Yeah.
Hey, get off with it, eh? You know, you just got to get out there and grab all that stuff out there, you know.
You know, don't you know?
Paul's an amazing sculptor. I have almost every NAM miniature he did for Empress.
Oh yeah, he did a great line for Empress Nam stuff. Yeah, and they just finished up a really successful Kickstarter of World War II British Airborne that he did, Arnhem type airborne. That thing did really well.
Hang on a second, Palmer. Let me solo you out here.
So I'll spin this around, but here's kind of like the one
way.
of the outside pieces.
Oh, that's cool.
Massive.
This is the biggest piece I have.
Okay.
But I do have other ones as part of this set.
So is that plastic or?
This is all scratch. Oh no! Wait a second. I think this is all scratch built. Like, oh, you know what? I didn't do it, so I don't really know.
Probably.
This looks like wood to me. These look all like wood. Feel like wood. Actual wood.
Yeah.
Like balsa wood.
You know, like coffee sticks, right? You know, like
basswood.
Okay.
Popsicle. This here too this is all plaster, like actual stuff that he made with real kind of plaster putty, right? These are definitely all these railings here, definitely all real wood. And so, and the nice thing is, I got this for nothing. Like he just wanted to get rid of it. Like he was not done with it. Like he had these huge things in his house, and granted, I've stored this for years without using it. You know what I mean? It just takes up space. But I have other pieces like this too.
That's awesome. That's perfect.
Yep, I played on that. Chris. That's hilarious.
No way.
That's funny. That's so
it's
funny.
a small world.
It is.
I guess.
Or was I? Okay, we had Clark's. Just sitting down for dinner, but I'll be finishing up some Dystopian Wars Covenant of the Antarctica boots. Das Boot.
I'll show one more. This is one more from the set, but it kind of matches it.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, that's cool.
It's the same style stuff.
That's cool.
These here are Hearst art. These are Hearst art style pieces that make the floor up.
Okay.
And that's what I was thinking of. I actually have one that's blocks too over there. That it's all blocks stacked on together for the wall. But this is more like wood kind of style outside. So I think this kind of stuff will be really good for the game though.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
That would work really good for Frostgrave too.
Yeah, I have like 2 other good sized pieces like that. It'll be perfect for a little table.
That's cool.
For a game coming up on Sunday against the Prussians in Empire. I always loved playing the Prussians. That was one of my fleets. KV tanks are a nasty beast to deal with. Yeah. You throw one of them on the table and it's like you're going to be there all day. Oh, it's like I remember seeing pictures of the very first KV tank they ever faced, and it was just shot full of holes, but none of them got through.
Yeah, the biggest problem they had with them is just they were mechanically, the transmissions weren't heavy enough. I guess they said they
broke.
And they said they got on too much of a slope too. The turret was so heavy that they couldn't swivel the turret.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if you ever tried to manually traverse a turret, it takes forever.
And as much as that sucker would weigh and as big as it was.
Yeah. And I've been in a 70-ton Abrams trying to hand crank one of those suckers around. It takes forever. You get tired.
Yeah. I bet you'd be inspired if you had to and your life depended on it, though. But
yeah. It's like you're yelling over the comms, like, get that thing off me. Oh no. Dead LCD is brutal. Is it a model that can be replaced just the screen? Yeah, it's just unscrew the top of the thing and click a few things. I did it. I seen a video where they had it where somebody showed replacing the same exact thing.
Was it a common problem with that one or no?
Yeah, I've been seeing afterwards that the Saturn S printer has been having all kinds of problems.
I think any of them, though, if you really look it up online, they all have examples of problems because it's just a lot of moving parts and different things to go wrong.
Yeah.
And so what I mean by that is they'll all have their chance of having some issues, I think.
Sure.
I think the big thing is I'm part of Elegoo groups that, it seems to be a very common thing. But, when you got 100,000 people in the group, I imagine somebody's going to have the same problem.
Yeah. Good place for information. Yeah.
Chris said I had that problem with my Saturn. Always buy on Amazon and had it returned it and got a refund and then bought a new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never ever looked. Did they have a serial number on those things? Now I keep extra LCD screens. Yeah, they're not.
Really?
Yeah. It's like the screens aren't that expensive.
Huh.
But I just expect them to replace it because it's new type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no doubt.
New except for a huge Daredevil and 50 battle mechs and Chaos Senators and you've been busy, right?
Yeah, he's printed a lot of stuff.
Let's see. Anything beside the BTR 40 you need a model for in bolt action? Well, imagine somebody has to have a file for like well, I do have a half track, but there's also stuff for the Brits. Eventually, like the little carriers.
Oh, the Bren carriers.
Yeah, Brent carrier.
Those cute little things. Yeah.
Then there's also the big guns. That would be cool. It's like having the artillery pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you'd have a big anti-tank gun or field piece or something. There's the sky's kind of limit. What kind of cool stuff you want.
Yeah, there's always more stuff you can add. No doubt.
And eventually, if I ever get into doing, say for the Americans, I have a Sherman. I do have an M20, M8. I imagine sometime I would like to have a Priest.
I have the Warlord Games resin one.
Me too. That's an awesome kit.
It is. And
I think the Priest is such a cool.
It's such a cool. Yeah.
I have some stuff. Is it the Lee? Is one of the smaller ones?
Lee's the one that is the really tall and has the big gun on the side.
It's got the 75 on the side, and it's got a 37 on top.
Up in the turret.
I was thinking I have some interesting ones like the Priest and the Lee. I have extra Shermans. I have some cool tanks that I was getting ready to do the tank wars that we talked about.
Oh, yep.
And have different kind of stuff. And I'd love to get back and paint that stuff at one point. I just have so many things standing in the way that I want to do.
Same.
Well, I always have a motivation for painting up vehicles because, as an armor officer, so that's kind of always something that
you got to get a Hellcat and a Wolverine sometime too.
Yeah,
those are just iconic.
Yeah, I always enjoyed using those. It's like I used to play World of Tanks. Yeah, I used to play that all the time and zipping around the battlefield in a Hellcat. It's like, hey, I'm going to go cross the battlefield really quick and blast something. Get in behind it.
About the Hellcat in bolt actions, it's considered obviously open topped. And open topped vehicles are kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I remember that from playing bolt action. It was really hard to.
Don't let the infantry near it.
Even infantry can put pins on you.
Yeah. Having said that, it's still pretty balanced pretty nicely.
Oh yeah. And it's really an infantry game anyway, so you're only going to maybe have one tank and then maybe a truck or something. I mean, it's not so you're limited on if you played 10 games, you're not going to be able to use 40 different vehicles. So
I find that you do really respect armor and bolt action, like it is really deadly, but then you get a guy that creeps around you with a bazooka and you get scared real quick.
Yeah.
Well, that one game we had, Dan, we were shooting. You were shooting your what the heck was that? You were shooting at me.
Well, we kept having that duel.
Yeah, we were shooting back at each other. My bazooka teams were firing at you, and you were firing back at me.
Yeah,
and we couldn't hit the broadside of the barn if we leaned.
Yeah, see, and that's the problem because it seems to me the more bolt action I play, where tanks really shine is actually using their machine guns.
Yeah,
because you can pull up, the infantry can't touch you, and then you get your machine guns are going to get, if you got 2 machine guns, that's 10 shots. But your big cannon's got 1 die roll, and even if you need a 3, 4, 5, or 6, there's still 1 or 2 you miss completely, and that's it for the turn.
And in that one game, we were rolling 1s and 2s.
Yeah, it's
every time.
It's like a sniper hits on a 3+ just about all the time, right? And how many times do you miss?
All the time.
All the time. So but another time, you'd think it wouldn't be. That's only third of the time, but somehow the odds don't always seem to work out in game in a 5 to 6 turn game.
Or in that one last game where I couldn't bring anything on the table.
Yeah, I couldn't pass a check to get on the table. So
I think I went. It was like turn 3 and 4 before I got some of my biggest stuff on the table.
That's because my guys were that kind of scary. The guys weren't brave enough to come on.
Yeah, my tank crew is like, oh, we're not going out there.
Yeah, right.
But you got the armor. Maybe I'm not going to mess with no infantry.
It's funny. I went to the right when I got into bolt action. I was just coming out of Warhammer 40K and playing Warhammer 40K exclusively, and I wanted to do something different. I got really excited to play bolt action, and I happened to be in Hawaii on a vacation, so I went to the military museum in Honolulu, and they actually had a lot of World War II stuff there. And I ended up buying like a military bag, like something you could get like even brand new, like at an army surplus store, but like these military bags that just flap over, like with the strap that you have, and I just to put my bolt action book and all my dice and all my stuff in. Cool. And I was just like totally into it, I was just like totally into it at the time. But I really enjoyed playing bolt action the first edition. I thought it was really a lot of fun. No, I never played second, so I'm not comparing it. I actually have only played first, but it was a lot of fun.
There weren't many changes in second. It's still almost exactly the same game, just some tweaks.
Yeah.
Yep. Still good stuff.
Okay. That was a long time ago now. Yeah, I would say. Is that how long you had the stuff, Palmer, and he played on?
Oh yeah, like I probably had that stuff for 5 years. I'm guessing, like maybe longer. But
yeah,
and so it's probably been around for a long time. And they're ruins, right? They're still in good condition. They look old and they look well used.
Yeah,
but they're still actually in pretty good shape.
Yeah, that's ironic.
I think I bought some mercenaries off them too, like the ogre mercenary for Mordheim, the ogre mercenary model,
Okay.
and some other ones. Like I got a bunch of stuff off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Balsa and basswood, always great stuff.
I like to use basswood. It's a little sturdier.
Yeah. Yeah. Crash, boom, bang.
Yeah, sounds like you had a big crash.
Yeah. My alcohol is always always have a large collection of balsa basswood handy at any time for any project.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know what I have that I haven't done anything with, and I got this just for Mordheim, but because we stopped playing, I never followed through with it. I'll just show you while we're chatting. Oh, here it is.
Let me try to figure out what the heck fell.
Sounded bad.
A client of my wife's, like through work, that she's known for a long time.
Oh,
she
it's peppermint bark from Christmas.
That's not good.
Client of my wife just got broken car glass. You see all this broken stuff, and it could be like hammered to like shards. But basically, the reason I got all this broken glass for these are just from like broken windows from like a place that replaces glass.
Cool.
You could break it up, put it on a base, and it's actually nice to paint, even though it's a nice color, green or whatever. I'm gonna probably paint it dark green and highlight it up with light green and paint it like weird stone.
That's smart.
Because basically you need weird stone, right? For more.
Yes.
Right. And so I could actually use this as a little project maybe. And I forgot about this, and still we were just talking tonight about Mordheim. Yeah, make some bases of weird stone. So
it's a common problem with all printers. Yeah. I'm getting to find out that the hidden thing about 3D printers is that they die.
Well, gosh, I don't even want to talk because I don't want mine to die. But I have like my filament one, and I've been really lucky with it. Like my Creality one, I've had it for ever now, it seems like, and I've really had many problems with it. I'm not a heavy user of it, but I've had very few problems, and that one has probably a lot that can go wrong with it. I had that one that I talked about, but overall, I found them to be pretty good. But I think you're always potentially susceptible.
Well, Chris says the screens are considered consumables, so.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I'm just hoping that I don't have to replace one every 6 months or 6 weeks or.
Yeah, you have to watch out for good deals on them then, so you can have one on Ready 5.
And it's like my Saturn's been going strong since the day of release. Surprised to hear others have struggled. Yeah, it's like I'm constantly, when I'm looking at these Facebook groups where it was going great and all until it wasn't. It's the same way with me. It was printing fine, and all of a sudden it just like that, it's done. And it's like, oh man. When you power it up and you do the little test thing when you're supposed to bring up the Elegoo logo on your LCD screen, and it's like, nope, I'm not doing that. So then if that's not popping up, then you can't print your image. So
how many of you guys are using Vallejo metal colors?
I've never tried the Vallejo metal colors at all.
I just have the only one I've used. The only one I have is their 996, just straight gold. And I haven't used it a lot, but it's good.
Well,
they say Vallejo's metallics aren't the best though. But
oh my gosh, these things though, like maybe the model color. I use model color as a paint like a lot, as I've talked about, and actually their bronze is one of my favorite bronzes there is. But what I'll tell you is this stuff, although it's thin and it can really run on you, like if you're not careful with it, like it does really cover, and it covers really well, but it's very thin. So if you use too much on your brush, it'll go everywhere. But this stuff, the acrylic metal colors, I've not seen metallics that I've liked as much as these. And then also, there's just two things that I get. I get those, and I like in these bottles from Vallejo that I get those, and I get their model washes, and particularly their grays to put over instead of black over like white or light gray and things. They're gray. Okay. I actually love these. I absolutely love these. And I don't know. They don't seem like they've really caught on a lot in the miniature hobby, but I think part of it is I normally don't get these in miniature stores. I usually get them at stores that are hobby stores that are more geared towards models.
Yes, right. That's where I get mine actually from, is from a model store. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, I love these things, and they're so vibrant and brilliant, and they don't really break like typically. Like I am shaking my metals here just because I've not used them in a little bit, so I haven't been painting. But they're really just. They cover really nicely, and they're so shiny.
Huh.
Okay.
Because I've heard people say they don't care for Vallejo's metallic paints.
Nope.
A lot of people say scale 75 are so good, and
I've never used those, so they might be, and that's fair. But these ones, I don't know if they're talking about these because there is such a huge range in Vallejo.
Yeah. What are those?
Specific. These are the metal color line.
Okay, see, yes, that I have never used. No, I noticed it was in a different bottle. Yeah.
Yep. These are so awesome.
Huh? I'll keep that in mind.
I haven't purchased any metallic paints in forever because I'm still burning through all of my P3 paints. Metallics.
Yeah.
You're also getting 32 mLs. In this case, it was Canadian $11.95, so that's probably like $8 or something US. But this is like 35 mLs. It's a fairly big bottle.
Yeah, that lasts me a lifetime.
Just to give you an example, this is like a normal dropper bottle.
Yeah, there you go. That's a lot of paint for that price.
Yeah, it's really good. It lasts a long time.
I'm still using my raw Partha metallics, honestly.
You're like, Palmer, I don't need to listen because I'm still using like 1980s metallics.
Yeah, I am. I'm using the raw Partha bronze is one I use all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, weird.
Well,
I would say I used to burn through probably one of these P3 bottles of this is getting. Haven't even opened this one yet. This is Cold Steel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when they discontinued them at our local store, they had probably 5 or 6 of those things.
Stocked
but there was a time I would go through probably one of those of metallic steel a month.
Oh wow.
That's how much painting I was doing, for
you're doing all kinds of commissions, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. It didn't take me long to kick through stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we do have. Let's see. We got any more? We got one more topic or
comment.
Doesn't Vallejo have 2 different lines? One is their metal lines kind of sucks. The other one's great. I'm not sure.
Could be. I mean, they definitely have their game color and their model color and like other kinds of lines like that. And I'm more a fan of their traditional model color, though I actually have some game color paints that I swear by that I love. So I'm kind of all over the place with that. But
yeah,
I do like Vallejo overall. Like I'm kind of a fan.
Me too. I'm a fan, and the paints are always good quality. And then I like if you're doing historicals, they've always got essentially a well-researched paint color, for everything. I mean, even like if you're doing like splinter camo, on German World War II Germans, they've got the numbers right there. It's easy. You don't have to do a lot of your own experimentation. Yeah.
Yeah, these 2 kV tanks I painted up were with Vallejos.
Yeah, I used Vallejo on mine too. Well, Cote d'Arms and Vallejo, but the Vallejo was like the Russian olive green or something. Is that what it is, Rusty?
There's Russian camouflage green, there's Russian green, and
So I got the one they recommended. What the heck was it? Oh, here it was. Or no? Yeah, Russian green, and it was Model Air is the one everybody recommended. Yep.
Yes, that's what I used.
Because then I actually bought their spray paint even and used that, and then used the Model Air in the dropper bottle to do some layering.
I have some of their Model Air too, and I do like that too.
They're nice and thin, so they're like they're whites. You gave me that advice, Palmer, with the whites that you were using.
Yeah. This guy right here, I keep it right on my desk.
Yep.
I have a little thing right on my desk there, Model Air. Yeah, it's good.
And so I use that now too. It works really good.
Then I took the standard Russian green colors, that, like you just said, that you use for your Russian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all my base colors. And then I took the same Russian green and I mixed in a little bit of brown violet in it.
Oh yeah.
And then it gave me that kind of a grimy, dirty look.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I kind of dry brushed over top of it to get the edges and cracks and crevices.
I was thinking about painting tanks the other day, and I was thinking how I'm going to have to watch my old videos to see how I did it if I ever do it again, because I was really happy with the style that I did, but it's been so long. Yeah. What I used to do is I used to like, besides doing it like an oil wash or my washes, I used to like to take a combination of yellow and white and browns and dilute them and run them down the tank to where it just made this such a thin film that it just like looked like weathering and covering on it, and rain sort of dropping down on
rain
the tank.
streaks almost.
And you just had to I think what we did is I used oil, and then I used, after having put a gloss varnish on the whole thing, I would use oil paint, and I would run it down, and I would use mineral spirits to dilute it down and just wipe it down the thing. And I learned that from YouTube from somebody. And I was trying to think, because at the time I was so happy with how it came out as a technique. And this is so many years ago. And I still was kind of new to getting back into painting, but I was able to emulate it. And I haven't done some of that stuff in so long.
They would have what the heck's the name? It's a model kit builders magazine. I can't remember the exact
Fine scale modeler.
Yeah, that's it. And they would always have a section in there on how to do techniques and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to read that once in a while.
And I would buy a copy or something if I see an article about something, and it's like, oh, that's cool. I'm just gonna then try it.
Yeah.
Those guys, they had a lot of stuff, and it applies to miniature vehicles.
Well, I know. Like on terrain building, I get most of my tips from model railroading channels. Actually, that's how I got my brick painting technique for my Stalingrad table that I'm working on. And they're like steps ahead, of
that stuff.
On that kind of stuff.
Well, speaking of topics, we do have some topics tonight. You want to go into that?
Sure thing.
Yeah. Our first topic of the night is defunct game systems, how to get into them, and how much effort is it worth it,
Oh, like Mordheim, Paul.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Well, do you want me to go first on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. because that's.
I actually
that's
wasn't
where
even
you're
thinking
at.
of Mordheim when you talked about this topic earlier. Believe it or not, I wasn't even thinking about Mordheim, but now that you bring
Really,
it up,
as soon as you
yeah.
start talking about Mordheim, I'm like, oh, that works right with the topic for tonight.
Yeah, it does. Well, I'll kind of go back to when I decided to get into it as a new player when the game has already long been, and I won't say dead because there's a huge following around Mordheim, but I'll say dead from the perspective of the vendor, like GW, you know?
Yep.
And that's the whole thing of a defunct game. It's no longer produced by the vendor.
Yeah, because nowadays there's with the internet, all these games are kept alive.
Yeah.
And they're even redoing the rules and stuff for them.
So there are many people that play it and it's like alive and well from that perspective, but where it kind of can get difficult, it depends on how much you want the original models. And like I always did kind of like to have some, you know, because the game is designed to not have to use the actual line if you don't want. You can make up any kind of warband, you know, with the models that you want, really. But I actually did want, like, you know, and that can actually get really expensive. So if you're playing a game where you're trying to find stuff like original books, original models, then that can actually really be difficult and pricey. That's probably the biggest part of it, is that it's pricey. I mean, the difficult level is sometimes just how much you want to spend, even if you did find it.
Although it's hard to find the Mordheim rules or box set, the actual original online, because I've looked before for months at a time, and it like almost never comes up. And then when it does, of course, it's really high, but it's so rare.
Yeah. And so from that perspective, however, like getting on like electronic versions of it, or, you know, whatever, PDFs and stuff, pretty easy because of the community, you know, I think probably. And so that part is pretty easy.
I have a PDF copy or a physical copy of Mordheim, because at one time GW did have on their website where you could download it.
Yeah, I think it's when they kind of were discontinuing it.
Yeah.
After that,
that was some time in the about 2007 or 8, I think it was.
They were doing that. Yeah.
But you know, when it comes down to the question, is it worth it?
Yeah.
I would say, you know, a lot of times the ones that we're talking about are games that are kind of legendary in some way. Like, you know, they're something that people have not stopped playing.
Right.
And there's something that has stood this test of time, that unlike me, not like me, there sometimes it's people that are getting nostalgic because they're getting back into it because they used to play it and they're trying to relive a time in their life where they really enjoyed and it brings happiness. And so sitting in that world, whether it be Mordheim or something else, is bringing you back and immersing you into something that you did when you were younger. And it brings you a lot of happiness. And so I think it is worth it from that perspective. You know, I think so. And I think, but you also have to ask yourself what your motivation is. I mean, is your motivation just to sit in that world and maybe enjoy at your painting table after work for an hour, painting stuff you would have painted years ago, opening up blisters that have, you know, you're opening up and it's like the air from 1993 comes out, you know, as you open it and you kind of just are feeling like at one with the nostalgia. That can be, and even if you don't play, you know, all you do maybe is set up a solo game. That might be enough for you to make it worth that. You know, hand over fist the money, you know. But then for some, if you're really looking to have a number of opponents and a community like locally around it and all of that kind of stuff, and if that's your motivation, is the games and the community, you may find that it then doesn't offer what you're wanting. And you might even find your friends that played at one point are still scattered enough and wanting to try new things that you're not going to get too many games out of it with all the money that you spend.
True.
So, I don't know. My opinion is if it's worth it, it really depends on the person.
Yeah, you got to look at is how much you may be. I say you're one of those individuals that played it originally. You still have all the books and everything, and you got your miniatures, and then you expect other individuals to join you, and say you're the individual, you're looking at it, it's like, oh my, this group wants to play this game. Is it worth it to me to spend all this money to try and get into it long after the fact that, and say in this day and age where anything that's, let's say it falls under the category of old hammer, it's going to be almost cost prohibitive to actually get the physical copy of the rules.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, it also, like Palmer had alluded to, that with the online communities, there's a Facebook group for almost all these games, obviously. Well, not obviously, but there are. One particular that comes to mind for me that I've looked at, and I think I've mentioned it on the show before, was Man of War, Games Workshop little game. And you can still find, the base game and the original miniatures and the rules and stuff. It's not extremely rare. It's not free, but it's not crazy. You can find reasonably priced things. But on the other side, on their Facebook group, they've got all the rules, the files. They've even got people that have reorganized all the rule books into one. There's people that have, improved it even in some ways, but that's all free. And then I did find, like on Etsy, even there's several places where people have made proxies, basically 3D printed, which, if you've got a printer, that's even better. But they're gorgeous. I mean, they're gorgeous. Like because the Bretonian fleet tends to bring a little bit more, not terribly rare, but it's a little spendy. Not that you need 1,000 ships, but they're gorgeous renditions of the Bretonian. I mean, they're probably better than the. So again, like you said, what are you after? Is it the nostalgia to have the old miniatures that either you used to have, or you wished you could have had, or didn't have money for at the time, or are you wanting to just experience the game because it looks like a cool game? If you just want to just play the game, you could print out the rules and the templates, and then, depending on how proxy you want to be, but you can get some really nice proxy ships, that are high quality, and not have much money wrapped up in that. So yeah, again, like Palmer said too, it's like, you need to decide what are your objectives with the project. Are you wanting to establish a community? Is there one established you're jumping into? For me, like for just 5th edition Warhammer, for me, it's the nostalgia. I started buying into it then, and then ran out of time and money to pursue it. And now I'm able to come back to it. And I want the original. A lot of people are doing some gorgeous proxy miniatures with, miniatures that are produced plastic by companies today. But for me, I want the original. That's what's cool for me. So yeah, but it's an interesting topic.
It's like if you're looking at Warhammer Fantasy from that aspect, they've had enough of the miniatures over the line, miniature lines that have gone on forever and a day, that they do have the ability to buy something that was in that line, even if it was fairly new.
Well, and it sounds like some of the 6th edition models are coming back, boys.
Oh, really?
From their last update. Yep.
Like the literal model is just going to bring them back.
Yep. The Bretonians, literally those models are coming back. And it looks like...
Man, I'd be tempted to buy those just because.
Yep.
Even the plastics, right? Like plastics, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's the plastic. The plastic ones are coming back. They had an update here. Oh, was it maybe a week or 12 days ago?
I don't know.
Right after our last show, wasn't it?
Like I have some Bretonians. Like I have some Bretonians, but I never had enough.
I knew you did.
Yeah, I kind of keep it under wraps because it's not a whole lot I could do with them. Given I don't really. I kind of went into High Elves hard after Beastmen, as far as buying all the old stuff, and I didn't really want to collect another third one, and try to be a completionist about it. But man, I could probably put together 1,000 to 1,500 point army of Bretonians if they come out with some plastics.
Yeah. And I'm assuming if it's successful, they'll gradually, phase in some new stuff. They are adding a new unit of foot knights for the Bretonians. That's a unit that they had, I think, back in 3rd edition, and maybe into 4th before the 5th edition book came out. And so presumably there'd be new models produced for that. And it looks like the Tomb Kings are going to come back. Well, they're obviously coming back, but it looks like some of the plastics will get re-released.
I just think that re-releasing that old style sculpting like today, in today's day and age, I think it's so cool that they would actually do that, in the sense that I just wouldn't expect that from G&W today.
Yeah, I think the only reason is because they can have miniatures available for all the armies like right away, and then not have to stick their neck out so far producing a bunch of stuff, and then maybe the thing falls on its face anyway.
Yeah.
So this way everybody can play. The nostalgia people will be excited. The sculpts are, reasonable enough that they're, some of them are quite good. That they would hold up reasonably well. And it depends how much they think they want to charge for them. Maybe you'll be like, whoa, that's a 20-year-old sculpt, and so I don't know.
Do you think any of it has to do with the fact that they know there's a market for Bretonian models?
Could be.
Yeah, it could be. And I think right now that's going to be a good gamble because there's so many proxies out there, which we've talked, or even just, actual proxies of Bretonians, let alone medieval proxies that you could use. And so I think, they'll try to kind of latch on to that nostalgia, and everybody has seen, they're iconic. They're probably more iconic than 5th edition just because we're getting older, and people that know 5th edition are, there's less of us probably than all the younger people that are familiar with the 6th edition. So I think just the recognizability and the nostalgia that a lot of people maybe started playing in 6th, 7th, and 8th, and that was the models that were available clear through 8th edition.
Excuse me.
So I think it'll be successful. Following on my Bretonian fan sites that I'm on, I don't hear anybody like saying, I don't want these same old. A couple people, but basically everybody's just jazzed. So
and I probably won't play the game, like the new game, but I probably consider buying some of the models if they do that.
Yeah, that'd be the same because I have a smallish Bretonian army, so that would be something I would almost consider filling out my army with something new.
They're changing the base sizes some, that's causing the biggest stir right now.
Okay.
So they want to go with 25 mil bases?
Yeah, 25 for human-sized infantry, and then the cavalry bases are also going to get bigger, but they didn't give a number. But most
isn't
people
25 what it was for human-based infantry?
20.
20.
For human-sized infantry, it's 20.
And now, or what they're gonna do?
They're going to go to 25. And the reason is because they'll rank up easier, which even in the old editions, occasionally 20 mil was tough to make them rank. And then, of course, with the newer sculpts that are more dynamic, 25s would work, so they can crossovers.
Are we talking about 6th edition, though?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Clear up through 8th edition. It was still 20 mil base on human-sized infantry. Yes, sir.
Unless the Chaos was larger.
Yeah, Chaos.
Yeah, my Beastmen were 25, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Except for my Ungors. My Ungors.
So like your high elves will be 20.
Yeah.
It's like my Skaven. Skavens were 20s. Here's like a whole bunch of Skaven are all 20s. Orcs were
so some
25s.
people are getting sideways on that, but there's already people showing how they're making movement trays that space them out the way they should be. There's base adapters you can print. you can set individual miniatures into.
I've done it myself. I designed those myself.
Not rocket science, right?
I did that, for my uncle.
Yeah, I got some Chaos Marauders, and they're on 25.
So it's not any kind of a problem.
Yeah.
That way you can still play your old edition and try the new one if you want. It's no big deal.
Yeah, we got a few comments come in here. Let's see. Clark said, "Yay! I requested this topic. Glad that it made it to the show.
Yeah,
my main game went Defunct Dust Tactics. Now maybe it's 2 to 3 others that make proxies and 3D scan the pieces for printing. Yeah, that's where I picked up the KV from. So you got a 3D scanner. That's what how you did some of this stuff.
Yeah, we got to move. We got to become friends with this gentleman.
Now we talked about. He says I don't, but one of the guys does. Okay.
Okay, well that works
that's
too.
A 3D scanner.
Friend of a friend.
Has a bit of a investment there.
Yeah, I would guess.
So yeah, it's like I was thought about this topic the other day. I wrote down a whole bunch of games here. Let's see. Getting into defunct games, there's Uncharted Seas. It's the first one that popped in my head. It's a defunct game. You can still find some of the still in blisters. You can still find some of the stuff that's in blisters yet. That's the thing about some games, that you can get into them and still find unopened packs.
Find the original stuff, yeah.
Let's see. And there was Wings of Glory. There's one that popped in my head.
Oh yeah.
Because we discussed that, the movement that's similar to X-Wing, and that would have been a cool game to it. By the time it came onto my radar, it was already out the door.
It's already out the door, yeah. Epic 40K's got quite a following.
Yes. And I'm just lucky enough I have so much Epic here that I never really need to purchase anything. But I bought it all at the time it was around.
I was just looking at my, while you guys are talking, I was looking at the Warhammer base size and unit strength reference sheet for Fantasy, and definitely Beastmen were 25 by 25. And you got me scared a little bit. I was like, did I miss something? Because my army's 25 by 25.
Your Beastmen probably were, but human size.
Yours, Man-at-Arms, Bowmen, and Footsquire were 20 by 20 for Bretonnians.
Yep.
Yeah.
They actually, in 5th edition, Ungors were 20 by 20, but then they moved them to 25 by 25 for 6th, in which case I had to create those inserts for them to go into.
Oh, okay.
And then High Elves are 20 by 20 for character on foot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had the Chaos Warrior and Chaos Demon armies, and they were 25s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chaos were always bigger, or at least for quite a while.
It's a little bit of a disadvantage, though.
Yeah.
Your footprint's a lot bigger.
Yeah, because it's still base contact.
You get less attacks in.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
I know that I noticed all my swordsmen that I bought off somebody, for High Elves who are all in the 20s. Yeah, they're all pretty much.
Yeah, they should be.
So, it brings up the topic also with it is that, all right, so you want to get into, let's say, one of the, let's say, Epic 40K for that matter. Where are you going to get the stuff from? You got to source it. And some of the, so
there's recasts out there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's recasts.
3D
if you can find those.
There's a guy in the UK that's doing some really nice recasts. Doesn't mention they are, but they've got to be. Oh, yeah, and then Palmer's got his answer right there.
3D printed.
Oh, 3D print them, yeah.
But this is for the Apocalypse games that I was wanting to do in the sort of the Epic style. But I actually have an Epic army, as you know, the Space Marine army. And
yep.
I I am really proud that I bought that army, an overpriced kind of army that I bought off somebody, even probably at a good deal, but like it's a great game. I've only had good games when playing it. A lot of people still play it. The miniatures are of a good quality metal, like a lot of them. I do have plastics too, for it, but a lot of them are really nice little metal rhinos. They're just really nice, and I'm happy to own them. I'll never probably get rid of them. I don't think I'll get. I shouldn't say never, because there's going to come a day where I will, but that won't be probably the army I ultimately keep to like my grave. But at the same time, I don't have any plans on getting rid of them.
Right.
I'll say right now, it's like one of the places you can source stuff is eBay. There's a ton of stuff on eBay.
Oh yeah. Well,
But
you can, but it's you got to really be. At least
you got to be patient. You got to be patient.
You got to be choosy too, because I mean, you can spend 4 times what you think you should.
I know.
Like,
that's why if you need to set a price kind of where you're at, and then you need to check it every day, and then just not stick to your guns.
If you buy it unit by unit, half of your price is going to be shipping.
Yes.
Like you could just spend a ton of money just on shipping.
Oh,
so
I know.
I think actually, like when I bought my High Elf army, half of it I bought right in one huge lump sum on eBay, but as a lot, and like a huge lot, and I think that was the best thing that I did. And then
that's always the best, because your shipping is so much less of a percentage.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I still, once I committed, spent a lot to get extra units and things. But it's
as
tough.
An individual myself right now, I have a bunch of epic stuff that's on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
I did sell some Marines. I sent that had Space Marines. I got a ton of Space Marines. I got more Space Marines than I could ever think of.
Yeah, time to thin them. Call the herd.
Just call the herd, and it's like I had some up. It's like $120 for a small unit. It was a company, three companies worth of Marines.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not a bad deal.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody, it's like they were on the eBay probably 2 days before they were gone.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I've sold some super heavy tanks and Imperial Guard super heavy tanks. I got a bunch of those things that are not even painted.
Mm.
And I have more than I need. I got like 4 or 5 companies worth of super heavy tanks. Maybe 6.
I guess actually the one defunct game I actually have gotten into also was, which I've been collecting these since actually it was still on the shelves, was War Master.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another one that it's really, really easy and affordable to buy the original rule book in good condition. That's not hard.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the War Master rule book.
Yeah.
I did sell off my War Master armies.
Those bring quite a bit.
Yeah.
If you want the actual GWs, although the prices have come down now because Forest Dragon for a couple years have come up with the 3D prints. And they have every army, and they're very, very well done. You can buy the files. There's a million places where you can buy the printed miniatures. And then on the Facebook group, there's actually what they're calling Warhammer Renaissance, because the game, they've kept it alive. It's sort of like Ninth Age in a way. Where they have a living rule book. They have actually a group of people that are like on a council or whatever they call it, where they review the rules each year and check in with tournaments and just kind of tweak armies, and then they're like January of each year they release the changes for it. So it's like a living rule book there. So you
That'd
can always
be a cool thing to put on your resume.
So it's like 8th edition.
I'm on the Warhammer. I'm on the Warhammer Renaissance Council.
War Master Council. That sounds freaking cool. And then I had some original War Master miniatures, which I still have, and I was picking some up on eBay before they got too expensive. And then I found a guy in the UK that I don't know. I mean, he's kind of lying, I guess, because he says that he bought all these collections, and he does it on the side, which is obvious, and then but he'll just throw some up on his website all the time. And he's on eBay too, but if you go to his website, it's way cheaper. But it's like he's even got some rare things, and there's only like one or two of them. But like they get sold, and like a week later, there's like one or two of them, and then so I'm guessing, I don't know, but it appears that he's doing recasts. But I don't care. I've ordered from him twice. The shipping's good. The quality is, I can't tell the difference from my originals. And the cost, they're actually cheaper than the 3D prints. So I'm like, it's a win-win for me. I can't tell the difference in quality or heft or.
And they're metal?
And they're metal. Yeah.
Oh, heck, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer. And some of those, I mean, I can get them for like third the price of like ones that are used on eBay, or that are originals. So I'm happy to do that. But so I've got my entire War Master Bretonnian army. It's a good, like a 3,000 point army. I just need to get it painted. But that's again a defunct game that you can get into pretty darn cheap. It's easy. It's very accessible. Again, how original you want to be. The rules easy to find, cheap. And some of the miniature lines are not as desirable, evidently. Like the undead, you can find reasonably priced. Yeah. Orcs and goblins are probably there were more of them sold. There's more of them floating around too, I suppose. But you can still find unopened boxes on eBay for reasonable prices that are still sealed. Even the army starter boxes they had.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think maybe we've not talked about, because I think we're all like I started with Mordheim. You're talking about Warhammer Fantasy. We're all talking about games that are GW based that oftentimes are so good they're collectible, and it makes it hard to get into them. But sometimes the opposite is true. Like, what about if somebody wanted to just get into a game like X-Wing now, which is a good game?
Okay,
I would say it's cheaper if you can find the stuff.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Yeah, it's like all over. And it's no worse than it's still as good as it ever was as a game. So if you actually were lucky enough to get into a game that was awesome, and now it's like you can buy the models for a quarter of the price, used or otherwise.
Yeah.
Now you can enjoy that game as if it was. What is it, right? So we're 2023. So like you can enjoy that game as if it was 2014, 2015.
Yep.
And pay 25% of the cost.
Yep.
And still play like with your kids X-Wing in your basement.
Yeah, good point. Well, and the other thing, like we've talked before, the cool thing about these old unsupported games is it's a closed system. I mean, even if you want to play it in its purest form, all the rule books or army books or miniature lines or army lists, everything is there. So there's no, it's not a game that's, then next year there's, 9th edition or there's, new units or they've changed this. So, that's always appealing.
All the disappointments should be known. So if they did change the
yes,
unit and
it is what it is.
You're going into it, you know it.
Yes, you know what it is, and you can and that's, I mean, that's a cool that appeals to me
because it's a known variable that
you've thrown out all the unknowns, and you basically know how much it's going to cost you to get into it. You know what the rules are, and and then obviously you can always house rule. There's not.
Yeah.
So
just looking at it's like I got. Right here, Uncharted Seas, and over here I got Dystopian Wars. We're two different game systems by a defunct company.
Right.
And so it was, and I got first edition X-Wing sitting right here. And
you were playing Dystopian Wars up till just like a year or two ago, weren't you?
I think the last game we played was 4 years ago.
Was it that long? I remember watching your videos. I didn't think it was that long, huh?
I think it was 2018, okay. 2019. I think might have been the last one.
Okay, fine. But either way.
So I got a twist on. Well, Rusty, did you get to go? I know you're going right now, right? Like you're talking about
the
sorry,
stuff right now.
I can't. Like, cause no, not at all. I actually didn't want to. I felt like I was going to throw a bit of a curveball with the topic, but did you get to say all the ones that you wanted to say, Rusty?
Well, that's just the ones that pop in my head that are two systems that are readily available. They were good game systems that someone could get into, and if you went onto eBay right now, you could build a fleet. It'd be a little expensive. Like the Dystopian Wars is to get into that one's a little more expensive because they redid it, but it's not the same game.
Right.
So you have individuals that want to buy those fleets to use them for the other game system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me throw a little curveball on the topic because I find it's much easier for me to sit here and talk about my Epic Army or my Mordheim Warband and things that like where I got the rule books and did all this stuff for nostalgia and I'm already committed to it and did it. And so, but what about like, are there games that you guys never actually played, wish that you did, but now you're actually asking yourself the very question we're asking tonight and you haven't sunk into it for whatever reason, the reasons that we talk about it maybe being difficult or accessibility or finding the other people to play, but like they're games that you saw other people play and now when you look into it you're like I passed the window and you've not done it.
Yeah, I mentioned Wings of Glory was one.
Okay,
that was one game system that came out and it was about 2007 or 8 maybe somewhere in there. It was one game system. I was like, man, that looks like fun. I wanted to get into it. It was kind of an era of World War I, World War II air dogfighting. It was a system I wanted to do. And by the time I wanted to pull the trigger, it was already gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the price of it to pick it up was secondhand on eBay. And it was kind of cost prohibitive. So I just said, I'm going to pass it.
Moving on. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Dan? Is there any ones like that you kind of think like you just like, you know what, I would have loved to at the time and I wish I would have did it?
The only one I can really think of, which is an interesting example though, was the Middle Earth strategy battle game, but they brought that back then.
Right. So now you can.
Now you
Speaking of which, there was a game being played on Sunday at Game Castle here in
No way.
Yeah, because Mel and I were, I forgot to mention this, but Mel and I and his brother are doing this.
Oh, travel! Like
no way.
RPG, huh?
Yeah, they brought it back. They got a new edition of it.
Nice.
I played that some back in the day.
Yeah, so did I. We used to play back in the 80s.
Yeah, it was the 80s for me too. The only other one just to finish up, the only other one again was also a GW game was what was their Wild West one?
Legends of the Wild West.
Legends.
Yeah.
Legends of the West. Something like that.
Legends of the Old West, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's interesting that they're all GW for you. That is interesting, but again, they are a huge powerhouse over time and things.
Well, and I think for me too is. Then in recent, I guess some of these recent games, I chose not to jump in, when I actually could have done it because I had money and time enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm remembering back like games that I knew were out there that, I didn't have time or money at the time to jump in. And so there was just no way. And for me, being out in the sticks like I am, and then I had a White Dwarf subscription and I didn't get to, we have a hobby shop to get to. So that's where I got my information. So those were the games that I would dream about playing.
Right. For me, it's a little opposite in that it's the ones that were kind of went away because they were smaller companies that looked really good that I felt like it was just a window of time some bigger than windows of time than others. And you might even argue that some of these are still around, but they don't appear to be around in the way they were. So one of them, though, this one isn't around, and it's All Is Quiet on the Martian Front.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of it. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So that one was by a company that I don't remember the name of, but they just completely just went away. Like the company just went out of business. Okay. And so that was like your tripods versus like your, I think they're like World War One kind of vehicles and stuff, right? If I remember correct.
Yeah.
And so that I just thought looked really good, you know, and then by the time I kind of was considering it, they were like, the company was just basically on its way out. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about this then. And then the other one I did, this is a funny thing, is I think I've talked about it on the channel, but I purchased, it's the other game for that's like an epic style game, but it was made by Hawk Games. I think it's independent. Isn't it Hawk Games?
I remember Hawk Games.
Yeah, it was the Drop Zone Commander.
Drop Zone Commander, and I know they also made Drop Fleet. I kind of wish that at the time that I fully went into it, there was a time when a friend and I bought the main box set and we split it to do the armies, but then he had stuff going on in his life. I had stuff that went on in my life. I ended up he's not one to usually sell, but I did actually just sell my half because we weren't playing. And, you know, I actually think I would have really liked that game. And I kind of thought it was really good. Yeah, I thought it was really good. And I kind of wish that I had that window of time where I did invest in. I could never probably get into it now. I don't think, you know, I don't know. I guess I could in the same way I got into Epic, but I just doubt that I would at this point just because of competing interests. But that was one that I did like and kind of thought.
Dave Lewis put that together.
Yeah. I think that would have been a good one to get into.
Yeah, that still has a following. That game does.
Yeah.
I wouldn't surprise me.
I had all the armies and stuff for it on a fairly large scale of numbers of them. I have them all painted up. I don't know if I ever I talked about it, and it was that I had everything set up and I wanted to play it here with the crew. And then one of the one crew member that seems to be the one that dictates whatever the heck we do said, I don't feel like playing that. And
so that was that.
That was it. So I was like, okay, I just turned around and
that's $600 and 60,000 hours of my time down the drain.
Yeah,
after painting it all up. Yeah, that's tough. Those kinds of things. But
and the worst thing about it is I bought all the different armies just so people would have something to play. They wouldn't have to invest, and I gave them rule books.
Yeah,
you made it easy. That's bummer.
I made it easy.
You can't implant passion on other people. It's hard.
I know.
Lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, huh?
Yeah.
So I turned around and I sold everything. A guy in China, Hong Kong, bought all my stuff.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, okay. I noticed Chris said Drop Ship is still in production. New stuff comes out all the time. I don't know if he means Drop Zone or Drop Ship, because I know Drop Ship I think is a bit different. I do know that you can go on a website, at least as of 6 months ago or something, and look at the Drop Zone stuff. But my understanding is, like, when I was looking at it, most of the stuff at that time said like not available, out of stock. And like, it was just all, I looked at it and I kind of cringed away from it because it looked like most of it I couldn't buy.
I see.
And I never played Drop Ship, which the space kind of version, I think.
Speaking of Drop Ship, Dave, he was all into that, getting Drop Ship going. And he was at Gen Con and he had a full-size giant orbiter warship that was carried all the drop ships in it.
Oh,
that's
huge.
Cool.
It was freaking huge. And I remember sitting there looking at it and talking to him because he had it. He was proud of it. He made the whole thing himself.
Oh, I bet.
There's thousands of hours of work into it.
Wow.
Well, he created his own universe and rules and models.
Yes.
Like he was like the mastermind behind it all. And that is actually impressive.
He was a one-man band.
Yeah, you don't see that very often.
True.
God, who bought the company from him? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I thought he sold it to a company, a bigger company, and then went to work for them. Like he represented the line, like within the bigger company is what I thought.
Yeah.
TT Combat is what Chris says, and he works for them. So that's pretty much.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Probably got some comments here that probably need to go through.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I sculpt in Blender, 3D Builder, and Mesh Mixer. That's something I would be interested in learning how to do. Is you get these files, and it would be kind of cool to be able to just tweak them a little bit. Mm-hmm. Especially if you get it like a building or something, that would be kind of interesting.
Make it your own.
Yeah. Trying to tweak, because one thing that really irks me in some ways is all these battle mechs that you can find online. Is that they'll turn around and they'll have them dynamic poses, so they're like facing off this direction, their legs are going the other direction, and
yeah, I've seen other people comment on that.
And it's like first thing I do is I print a lot of these. I printed them off and then I cut them in half,
so you can position them.
Yeah, get them the way I want them.
The way you want them, yeah.
So we got that. Next comment. Wings of Glory is awesome, but money to get stuff now. Yeah, it's like when I first started looking at it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's going to be like an arm and a leg to even think about getting into it. So I was like, no, not worth it. And Chris said, Epic was awesome, of course. Love the game. I wish I could play more games of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You were doing a lot on your channel for a while with Epic, though.
Yeah, it was because I had one of my friends, the one that owned Alliance Miniatures, that company, back in the 80s and 90s. He's a friend of mine, and we both wanted to play Epic, and we started playing. We played for a couple months straight, almost every week. And then he had a heart attack, and that kind of put a damper on things. Death does that,
Yeah.
Let's see who else we got here. Chris has another comment. War Master is awesome. I play it, but it says black powder on the rule book now.
Yeah, it's pretty much inspired it.
Yeah, the Warlord Games Epic.
Yeah, that is true. It's like Warlord Games basically just took a lot of GW stuff and just tweaked it a little bit, and it's still the same thing.
Some of the guys are, Paul Sawyer and Alessio. A lot of the
old school guys wrote rules and helped run the company.
They started Warlord Games.
Yeah, it's like you look at, they did a heck of a job with it. That's a nice thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We bought in big with Halo Ground Combat, then Spartan Games went under. I actually, one of the first ones to physically look at and hold the Halo Ground Combat miniatures.
Were you painting them for rules or something?
I did some painting for the guys, because one of my friends who's now passed away worked for them. He was the U.S. What do you call it? Spokesman. The rep here in the States. And they would need stuff painted, and I was painting stuff for them for hosting games. That was one of my clients.
That's pretty cool.
So it's like when I got a hold of some of the stuff and I painted some of the stuff up, and I was like, my son was, big into Halo. And we played the Halo game on Xbox like crazy.
Oh, God, I remember I played the first, we had played hours of that. That's the last time I played video games, was when Halo was new.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
So it was kind of cool. It was I had stuff down here, and I was painting some of it up, and my son was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "That's the new Halo Ground Combat game." And he's like, can we get something? It's like, it's not even on the market yet. It's not even been announced. It's like,
that's great.
so I hand delivered this stuff directly to Gen Con so they could put it on display.
Wow.
And I got one of the Halo Warship game. They gave me a box as part of what I got for
your payment
stuff. Yeah. Before it even got put on the market.
Cool. Did you ever do anything with it?
I painted the stuff up, and then when the game went under, I turned around and sold it for a nice hefty profit.
Oh, okay.
I was just looking at what Chris said. Well, actually, most of the stuff that I'm looking at now on Drop Zone Commander is available, like you said. Like, I'm looking at one of the big, large models is sold out, and I'm just kind of going through, and I don't know if they're putting this stuff first that is available, but the first whole page is available. First whole second page is available as stuff.
Oh, okay.
So now, like, when I looked last, it wasn't.
It must.
Is that on TT Combat?
It is right on TT Combat. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I would be interested if they're ever going to re-release the Cityscape tile cards. Because it's a 10 mil game, and the cities, which would be perfect for the Cityscape cards, would work good for because the BattleTech, if you weren't wanting to do Cityscapes, for putting underneath.
Yeah. Right.
I'm just looking through here. It's all mostly available.
So Dropship is still in production. New stuff comes out all the time. All right. So that's they're got away from the ground combat to Dropship.
Well, that's the Dropship. So this is Drop Zone, and it's available.
Oh, Drop Zone is now available?
Yeah, so I'm talking about Drop Zone if I said that wrong.
Okay.
The Drop Zone stuff is available, and I only saw one model that wasn't, and when I last looked, it wasn't.
So they
it must have been just when they were in transition. Yeah.
Okay.
It was probably when they were in transition and taking over the company, but
and it's like
they have a lot of great stuff.
They said Dave sold the game to TT Combat and works for it. All right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Rick sold the rules to Warlord for
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, black powder rules, right? Is that what he's talking about? Yeah, I heard something like that.
All right,
that's the problem, though. Like with those games, it's the same thing we've talked about before. Is there's just so much cool stuff. I mean, there's just game upon game that if I had nothing but time, and I sped up my painting quite a bit. I mean, there's a lot of cool games that are both on the market, coming on the market, and then the retro. I think the only reason for me personally why I look at like defunct games, for me it's just literally nostalgia, because to me it doesn't even matter if it was a good, they're obviously not terrible games, but there's probably cleaner rule systems and stuff out, but I enjoy the nostalgia, the collecting part, the searching part. That's fun.
The closed system.
Yeah, the closed system. You know what you got, what you're getting into.
Looking good, Rusty.
Yeah. Did you do some painting tonight? I didn't know.
I was working on our second topic, which we never got to tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, there's always the next time.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, because we're getting 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yes.
Getting towards the final stretch.
Okay, there you go.
Nice.
Little two-tone Lyrian guards, baby.
Very cool.
I find the moment I get them on green, that it just looks so much better. Like I just find just getting the base painted.
Even if it's not.
Yeah, it
just flocked or.
Well, it just makes it so much
sets
better.
It off.
The moment you actually put it on there.
So, that looks cool. Those are massive.
Yeah, they are, and they deliver massive on the table too. They really are good. 3 of these guys are a powerhouse.
How many do you run in a unit typically? Is it 3 or is 6
3.
a lot? Too many. 3.
3.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I have to look. I don't think I didn't think I'd look because I think it's normally 3, and then and
Okay.
I don't think it's typically more, but
yeah, sometimes it's like 3 to 5.
In any case, these guys are they're good enough with 3. They got 4 attacks each, and they're like toughness 5, I believe, and then I gave them great weapons, which their strength was already 4 or 5, and which gave them another 2. You know, it was just crazy. Like, you know, like basically, yeah,
they're chopping up dragons.
Yeah, they really are. They're a nice. They're a nice. What do you refer to it, like a crack unit? You know what I mean? Like if you just want something
hammer
really,
and anvil, right?
They were a nice hammer.
Yeah, they would go in really good and stop one of the version it is. What edition was it? Where we had Hero Hammer. They would go hammer in and just like bam, hit a hero type and stop them cold, or tie them up for the entire.
Tie them up would be, even if nothing else.
Yeah.
With great weapons, do you always strike last, or is that not a rule?
Yeah.
In 6?
Well, I think except for charging though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably.
But I think
he charges first.
Toughness 5, you know, you can take it. Doesn't matter. How many wounds do they have then? Like,
they have 4 wounds, and I think I said 4 attacks, but they might have 3 attacks, but it's 4 wounds.
4 wounds.
So that's tough, actually.
That's tough.
And they have scaly skin, so they have like I believe I only played them once recently, but I think they had a 4-up armor save because I had
50%.
Yeah, it was.
But you know that gets adjusted with whatever weapons. If you're hitting with a great weapon too.
Strength 4 reduce it by 1, and then 5 by 2. Yeah. So it's
cool.
They're getting hit by a heavy weapon, you know, a 2-handed weapon themselves with a heavy, high strength, and you know they're getting diced up pretty quickly. But it takes something that against the say. Like a Reichsguard, even those guys would have a hard time against them.
That's the thing. That's a unit that should be afraid of nothing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Magic can.
Well, this is the thing. It's because it's Warhammer Fantasy. Where you're going to have trouble, I think, is you just go up against a huge block, and they're still going to get all their ranks in there, you know, and they can still potentially win combat because they're not unbreakable. So they actually they are subject to the combat resolution. And so if you go up against a standard, you're outnumbered and you have all the ranks, you better make sure that you're clearing out all those guys because you're going to have to take all those bonuses away
to get the combat res at all. You're going to need to kill.
And if you don't, you get roll some bad dice roll. You can easily still lose to a huge horde of weaklings. You know,
those guys cause terror, don't they?
Fear. They cause fear, and that helps too.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to deal with there, though. I mean, it'd be hard to ignore that unit, though.
No, that's the thing, and I'm not saying that they're the best unit in the game or anything. I'm just saying for Beastmen, for my Beastmen, man, they're really good. Like for what I have,
I think they'd be really good. Yeah, it'd be something to deal with. Something you'd have to figure out how you're going to deal with them.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that one of the cool things is that I have some models where the models are really cool and I spend a lot of money on them, you know, but they're not really that great in the game, so it's more just about painting them up and having fun. But it's nice when you buy some like late 80s models like these and get 3 of them and I really like them, and then they look really sinister looking and they work sinister too in the game. Like it all comes together, right? Like these guys I can pull off the shelf and admire them, put them on the table and admire how they
admire them.
Like
a lot of times that's not one and the same.
Well, even like my Beastmen, like I can get a whole bunch of my like plastic Beastmen and just have them work just as well as all my Bob Ollie ones, 1 for 1. You know, so like I put all those Bob Ollie Beastmen on the table, and I spend all those time painting and collecting them, but they operate just like any other Beastman.
Yeah, they die the same way. Yeah,
they die exactly the same way. You know, but these guys, they die exactly. They win and they lose exactly the way I invested in them.
Yeah. The amount you have invested time and dollar wise, it's nice to at least see them last a while.
How many points is 3 of them?
Well, and I have to remember, I think there were I think they were close to 75 points apiece in the Ravening Hordes rules. And so you're still looking, over a 200-point unit for 3.
2.25. So
yeah, and it's still sizable amount.
On 1,000 points, that's a lot.
But I've had a lot more. I've had a lot more luck with them than my Minotaurs at this point. Like I found them to be a little bit better than the Minotaurs. I like using Minotaurs actually, but I found these guys a little bit better.
So the Minotaurs are what's toughness 4?
Yes, I believe you're correct. Yeah, so they have the lower toughness. And,
there's strength 4, strength 5.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because I haven't been using them as much recently, but I believe there's strength 4, strength 5. I'm not sure, but they have like a lot of attacks.
But they got a great axe, right?
Yeah, you can do different things. I usually do double hand weapons, right? Oh no, I've been using the great weapon with them, but you can do double hand weapons. You can do the 6th edition, all that stuff.
So do you mix up your list? Careful with your knee there, Rusty. Do you mix up your list, Palmer, each time?
Not with 1,000-point games so much because I'm still kind of painting. I've been sticking with my lists pretty closely, but I've been starting to mix it up even a little bit. But mostly when I'm above 1,000 is when I've been mixing them up more. When I've been
you got more flexibility with the more points. Yeah.
If anything, I've been at a little bit at fault in running the same thing, and I've been pretty. What's that? Anesthesia.
Morphine.
Yeah.
Morphine.
I've been running very similar stuff for the 1,000-point games, but I'll probably mix that up more in the future. But yeah.
Well, it's fun to kind of run the same list and see if you can kind of change how you do things. Sometimes you just start throwing units in and out, and but it's like how to make how should I use that differently? That's a fun part of the game too.
Absolutely, and I am going to mix it up even at the 1,000-point level a little differently sometimes in the future. I still have stuff to paint. I still have a lot more Bestigors that I can paint. I have a good solid unit at 20 that I run, and at 1,000 points, it's quite a good number. But I have like another 20 to 30 that I can paint up and make a huge block of metal Bestigors.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and they are good because they're weapon skill 5, and they have heavy armor and great. They have halberds, and so they actually are really quite good. They do pretty well, but still toughness 4, so they're like which is good, but it's like a beast man, like same as a gore.
I say back in the day when I first got my first beastmen, they were part of the Chaos Army. And,
sure,
yeah. So it was like I had a small unit of them, so I never built a beastman army. So they were just
nothing like it. Listen to him.
I always had my Chaos Warriors, so it's like I make big blocks of Chaos Warriors to go in and hack.
I always liked the Beastman army. The look of it was cool, and it always reminded me of Narnia too, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, there's that.
This is priceless. My daughter, who's in 11th grade, like she was at the breakfast table today, and I brought in my stuff and put it on our dining room table, so in a different room, but in sight of it. And on the side of my big white box, it says "Beasts of Chaos," and in the actual like kind of graphics of Warhammer, it's like a piece of paper with like all this stuff. And my daughter's like eating her cereal, and she's like, "Beasts of Chaos." I'm just reading the box from the other room, It was really funny. I'm like, that's right.
A good rock band name or something.
Yeah, exactly.
We're the band Beasts of Chaos. That reminds me, I see a meme tonight where 75% of the job of the park rangers in Sweden is finding lost bands that have doing cover art.
Really?
Getting and recovering them. Well, let's go do a photo shoot for our new album. We're lost. And the Beast of Chaos have found them.
That's great.
Or it's too late.
Well, on that note, I think we're like just pretty much there. By the time we actually say our goodbyes, I think it'll be time.
Agreed.
So thanks to everybody from coming out.
Yeah, that was a good show tonight. Even if we didn't get to our second topic of the night, but we filled it up pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
There's always something to keep us busy.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of Rusty. We're kind of almost at the point where we might as well just again call ourselves the three Musty Wargamers, because that's the way when we started the channel, when we started the show, it was the three Musty Wargamers. We won't. I know that might bring back some couple of nightmares, but but it was actually then we just moved it to the Musty Wargamers, but we almost.
We're the three Musty
Wargamers.
Like the three Musketeers. Like the three
Dan's
Musty.
like, do I have any say in this?
Well, I'm not that musty, for one thing.
Where's your hobby room again, Dan? Where is your hobby room? In your house?
In the basement.
It's in the basement.
Where's mine? In the basement. Where's yours?
In
the basement.
I'm the only one that's a grandpa too, so I'm an old musty.
That's
right. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's like, and on that note, it's like my son now has a girlfriend, so
yeah, well, you're getting a step closer.
Yeah, that's a step closer.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, yep. I got to go out and do stuff.
Yeah, stay musty.
Stay musty.
Mel pops in. Good show, lots of convo. And Chris, see y'all. All right, we'll be heading out, everybody. Enjoyed having you on in the chat there. You kept it lively and entertaining.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody, as usual.
All right.
Yep.
We'll see you in 2 weeks over in Palmer. We're getting down to our last couple shows.
Yeah, we probably are.
Yeah, likely,
we probably got, 2, maybe 3 left.
Mm-hmm.
So
sad.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you, everybody.
See you in a couple.
Take care.